Welcome once again. Welcome to the lecture number 14 of the deep learning course. In this particular session, we are going to talk about some optimization for the neural network. So, when I say the optimization in this particular class, we are going to have a specific meaning. Generally, what happens that whenever we do a optimization, there is some function, and maybe let me just take, for sake of simplicity, let me take it for the function of x. So our objective would be to find out a value of x that minimizes or maximizes this particular function. So this is our general understanding of the optimization. But here in this particular class, we are going to talk something very different, and that is optimization in terms of the time. Because we know that if we have arranged the neural network in some way, let's assume that there exists some minimum value that is possible. Minimum error thing is possible. For the neural network, it is very difficult to actually reach to that particular point. Okay, so this optimization that we are going to talk about today is actually trying to understand that what are the method by which we can reach to that particular absolute minima. We had an understanding that there is something, for example, if there is two variable, for example x1 and x2, and we draw the places where we pick up some network value. For example, we are going to get some value, and if we explore the nearby areas, we would be able to see that there are other places also where the same value can be obtained. And if we go inside, you can see that you can find another place where the value would be even smaller. So we have talked it into the previous classes that maybe, for example, on this particular path, the value is 50. Then for the inner path, the value would be maybe 45. And then we can draw another contour inside, and maybe here the value would be 40. So our objective would be somehow to traverse from outside and to reach to the absolute minimum, whatever the place is there. But the general methods are actually not that much smooth, because this kind of curve is also not smooth in our neural network setting. So what happens that actually there are, as you have seen earlier also, that we had a graph where there was a minimum and there was hills and etc. We have seen this kind of representation, the last landscape representation into the previous classes. So it becomes very difficult to actually reach to the global minima. The issue is this, that to reaching the global minima, it is very difficult, because if we start somewhere, we are going to stuck, we are bound to stuck some of the places, because the places are rough. All these surfaces are rough. So what we can do to reach to this global minima is actually we are going to talk about, and we are going to say this thing as an optimization today. You know that there are various kind of functions that we want to optimize, because ultimately whenever you are going to make a network circuit, your objective would be to reduce the error and or loss. And the loss can be defined in many ways. One is the least absolute deviation, or the least square error, cross entropy loss. And we have seen that most of the time we generally don't use this L1 norm, because you know that what happens with the L1 norm, if you write a formula, so L1 norm would be, there would be only one term, okay, with respect to, and y would be only one term, single term. So if you find out the derivative, what would happen that actually only this term actually vanishes and it becomes 1, and this becomes 0. Okay, once again, let me quickly. Okay, what I wanted to tell, that if you want to find out the derivative, what is going to happen, that this term vanishes because it's a constant, and from here, since it is a single power term, it becomes 1. So ultimately you are going to use the alpha is only the term that actually prevails, and your learning rate is actually governed by this particular quantity. So what would happen, that everything is going to reduce by a value of alpha. Everything, whatever, all the weights are there, all the weights are going to reduce by the alpha. So what would happen, that even if some weight is very high, it is also reducing with the alpha. Some weight is very less, it is also reducing with the alpha. This is not a good thing, because what would happen that the smaller value would uh, very quickly become zero. And when the value becomes zero means what? That your network gets simplified, and it is not only the simplified, actually whatever you have made is, it does not have any kind of effect. So that's why we mostly avoid these kind of error functions. So we go for the least square error functions, where we see that the difference between two quantity and take the square of that particular quantity. Now if we find out the derivative, there would be y term would also survive, at least one term from the x would also come to our picture. So what would happen that it would lead us with a quantity, because whatever is going to be reduced, that is going to be proportional to the whatever quantity you have, and that's why you would be able to reduce all the quantity, not only the one quantity. However, we have seen that for the cases when you want to do the classification, it is better to use the cross entropy kind of function, because into the classification domain, here the function is not the linear combination, it becomes the some kind of activations are applied, non-linear activations are applied, and because of this the surface become non-linear, and therefore using this kind of direct method of using least square differences, they actually suffer a huge problem. So ultimately we want to optimize this, but in the today's class, what is our objective? Our objective is to reach to that particular optimal point, and very quickly to get the this particular point where this particular function is actually reduced. So you know that we go for the multiple epochs, means whenever you have a database, you scan this database multiple number of time, and you update your parameter multiple number of time, and every update is going to be called as a epoch. So you are going to the system multiple number of time. One method that is actually very important, that everybody actually needs this, and that is a very popular method, and it is actually the first thing that actually comes into the mind, that you use the gradient of the method. Assuming the function is a convex function, you utilize the gradient of this particular function to get the idea that in which direction you should move to reduce the value of the weight. So if the weight is, if the right kind of weight, means the optimal weight is here, so gradient at this particular place would be negative. If you add this particular quantity, you would be able to reach this particular place. Similarly, if you are here, the your gradient would be positive, because you are going to, when you are increasing the w, your value is increasing. So you subtract this particular value. The formula says that w is equal to w minus alpha time gradient of this particular function, and for the just sake of simplicity, sometime we can write that gradient with respect to the w, and we use this particular quantity to update this particular weight, and by this we can reduce the things. It is not a very new thing, it has been proposed around 1847 by Cauchy. So it is a very old concept, because you know that even into your 12th class, you have seen that finding out the derivative and then finding out the maxima minima, all these things you know. Uh, One important problem with this kind of approach happens when you apply this approach on the complete database is this, that most of the time your database is very large. So your database is very large. So if you find out that what is the gradient with respect to all the item, take an average, and then you can update the gradient, update the weights. So it may take long time to get a single update. So it takes a lot of time. Okay, so if you want to be fast, you want to get, ultimately our objective is to reach to that particular point quickly. So if you want to reach to this point quickly, so stochastic gradient descent comes. It says that for every point where you pick any particular point, you pick any particular point and find out that what is the derivative, and you update your parameter, update your weight. So you are going to update your weight. What would happen by this? That earlier what was happening, that this way your error was actually reducing. But when you change this kind of mechanism, you say that with every item I'm going to change the thing. What would happen? That error could shoot up, come down, shoot up, come down. This kind of behavior you are going to observe. So a lot of ups and down, but ultimately we can see that the things are going to be down, but lot of ups and down would happen in between. Stochastic Gradient descent is a method. We are going to say this, it is as a stochastic, because we know that which particular data item, because there is no particular order of the data item. It may be possible that if you pick the data item in a particular way, then this particular curve could be smooth also, but we don't know that what is the particular thing. So we are picking the item one by one, and it is a, we can safely assume that all the data items are randomly arrived to my database, and that's why when I'm picking the items from my database into into the sequential way, it is seeing the observation into the random way. Stochastic gradient descent, this is the method that for every data item you are going to find out that what is the derivative, and you are updating your parameter. uh, so we have seen that this is not very good because lots of ups and downs. So the next better method is the using mini batch. So mini batch says that you actually divide the data into batches. It would be nice that if you can you can create some of the patches, for example this batch, second batch, third batch, and you train using batches. I mean, into the batch most of the time 30-35 items are there. So you pick 130 or 35 items, and you update the weights, and you next 30-35 item update the weights and go ahead with that. If you apply these kind of mechanism, the things would be a bit smoother. Okay, it would be a bit smoother. It was not that much difficult to go ahead. Okay, I have a question. Let me see, sir. In the stochastic gradient descent, since we are updating the weights for all the individual data entries, how do we take care of overfitting? I don't know that how come your question is coming, because overfitting, how do you think that it is going to be overfitted? There is no direct connection with the overfitting here right now, because in this particular setting only there is no direct connection.
Sir,
Because
so
yeah,
I thought that we are like to take care of all the individual data entries, we are updating the weights accordingly. And that's why I thought that we are just trying to accommodate all the data such that everything is predicted correctly. That's what I understood. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
That's why I thought
So
that it is
correct.
sort of going towards overfitting.
No, no, no. That is fine. Okay, okay. Then it is, you are saying right. Actually, what happens now? Like, for example, we have seen into the, I think into the 5-6 lecture backs when we were talking about the neural network, we started our discussion. So we had a data that there was some positive item, some negative item, and we wanted to find out the right kind of decision boundary. So what we did, one by one we pick every item, and we have updated our thing. We have did this there. What happened actually, when I have updated, for example, let's assume that this is a data item and misclassified data item. So I would change this thing, so that when the surface changes, this data becomes correct, but because of this change other becomes wrong. Okay, so why, one by one, when you are considering the data, so this, it is fine that you would be able to correct this, because of this particular gradient you may be able to correct this thing right now, because sometime this correction may also take multiple steps, because you see that there is a, you know that what is the right gradient to go ahead, but you don't know that what is the quantity. There would be alpha also. So in one update it may also not be possible for you to correct it, but let's assume that you correct it. So whenever you correct something, means you are changing the your network parameter. So other, for with respect to the other parameter, you have not considered anything. So what would happen, that those other points may get misclassified. Understand? So that's why overfitting would not happen. Okay, overfitting right now, it is not directly related with the overfitting, but if you say that I my if you say that, what you say, that my network is very strong and I am training till infinite time, definitely then there would be some, and your data is such that it can capture all the things, uh, means data is not very much complex, so definitely you are going to do the overfitting. Okay, so overfitting is related to something else. For example, how strong your network is, how much you are training like that. Okay, so right now what I was telling that there are one approach is this, that since you know that what is a gradient descent, and you know that by applying the gradient descent you would be able to find out the right parameter. So stochastic gradient descent actually says that one up, how can you update this? Because you have find out that what is the gradient here, what is gradient here, what is gradient here. For all the points you find out the gradient, you collect them all, and then you update your weight. It takes a lot of time, because when you are considering the second item at that time, whatever update is needed, you have not assimilated in that. So why you are not taking that care of that thing? Because you have done some computation. So everybody would think in that particular thing. Why not keep updating the things? Okay. So this is the first thing that comes in your mind. So when you start doing this with this particular approach, it is called the stochastic gradient descent. But again, as I told you, that stochastic gradient descent has many ups and downs, because error is going to be fluctuate a lot. So it would be better idea to use mini batch. It says that when 5-10 items, for example 30-35 items has happened, you have find out that what is the right thing, what is the right value for them. Then you use this particular understanding to update the parameter and go ahead with next 30-35 item. This is called mini batch. And uh, and that's why sometimes this particular gradient descent, that means the gradient descent method, is called the batch gradient descent. Why it is called batch gradient descent? Because you are you are taking all the things as a batch. Okay. And batch is a very old word. At the I think when the computer started, people started doing batch processing, and the term actually coming from that means they submit all these data to the system, and system does some kind of churning and gives you the result. So mini batch says that instead of using all the item, you are going to create a small set. I'm repeatedly mentioning that 30 to 35 items you are going to take. Okay, there was a very recent paper, I think around in 2019, where they have actually revisited this number and tried to come up with some idea that what is the right number, and then they have proposed this, that the number should be 30. Okay, 32, near about 30. So okay, all these methods are actually very much suitable when you have very simplified network. As we have seen that when your network is very deep, then it becomes very difficult to propagate the error that are there into one layer to the another, and therefore it becomes very difficult to train the things. And that's why we have seen earlier that we have seen that sometime it was very difficult to train the network, and the people has started saying that neural network has dead. But in 1986, a very important paper, influential paper, that is actually mentioned over there, learning properties by the back propagation errors. So it was a very interesting paper, appeared into the Nature, that actually talks about that how can we propagate the error in such a way so that the bigger and deeper network can be trained. So first time people started thinking, and very efficient method that actually uses that who are the outputs of one things, and output of a particular unit, and based on the dependent upon their outputs, they were able to train the thing. We have seen this particular algorithm in much detail into the previous classes. So then come the back propagation. So all these things are a very straightforward. So we have seen some of them into the previous classes also. So then comes the back propagation to find out the thing. So where we are into now into the scenario that if you have a neural network, so you can find out the parameter for all these things. Okay, right now you can find out the parameter of all the units which are here. You can find out the parameter. Okay, now let us discuss something more. And what is that? As I told you that into the previous classes, that you know that the last landscape is not that much simple, and therefore it would be very difficult to find out the right parameter. It would be very difficult to find out the right parameter. You are most probably going to stuck somewhere. So one method says that when you start your training, so you have seen this curve also. What it says, that initially your curve is very steep, so your error is going to reduce with a very fast speed, but after that your error is going to reduce with a smaller pace. So one idea is this, that when for example you are starting, your error is going to reduce fast, means the derivative are more suitable, very good derivative you would be able to get initially, and a very good direction you would be able to get. when you are going to update. Are you able to understand this? So initially, just see this particular graph. Looks like that initially your error is going to reduce much. Means what? The gradients, initial gradient are much useful to reduce the error. So it says that if you have any kind of gradient, so you into the next step also you utilize the previous gradient also while you are updating your parameter. Okay, this is called the momentum. This is called the momentum. Momentum means whatever the previous value, a previous updated value was there, you are going to use this. Once again, I have given you the intuition that previous things are, because initially previous things are relatively more going to reduce your error. So if you use that those values to reduce your error, definitely you would be doing a faster convergence. Okay. So this graph is nothing more than this. That is, says that let's assume that W is into this particular direction. Your gradient of the W is into this particular direction. So you know that you apply alpha times and then you use this quantity to modify the weights. So whatever weight you have, you are going to say that weights plus alpha time gradient of W. So this gradient of W is, let's assume that it is into this particular direction, and previous weight update previous weight update was, let's assume that it was into this particular direction. So you apply using some factor by gamma, and you actually instead of going into this particular direction, you go into this particular direction. You are going to utilize the previous value also. So this is the simple idea. It says that if you want to find out that how much I should update, you use the previous value, and this is nothing more than this, that what your current scenario is telling, that how much you should train, and you use a parameter gamma and you multiply this, you get this value, and then you multiply by this. Very simple idea. So weight updation is simple. That says that if you want to find out the new weight, it is the previous weight plus this particular quantity. Any questions on that? And this is a very interesting paper that came around 2013, and in the paper itself it says that deep and recurrent neural networks were considered to be almost impossible to train using stochastic gradient descent with the momentum. This paper shows that when stochastic gradient descent with the momentum uses well designed random initialization and particular type of slowly increasing schedule for the momentum parameter, it can train both the deep neural network and RNNs. Okay, very interesting paper. You just see that this thing has been taken from its abstract only. So idea is simple. Once again, the idea is this, that you know that initially your things are better learning. So why don't you utilize the same direction, going into something more direction to obtain something? This kind of approach, everybody okay? I think somebody has written something. Okay, sir, got it. Okay. Any questions till now? Everybody is okay with this? You are understanding? Can anybody write yes? Yes? Okay. So can anybody tell that is there any possibility of any problem with this kind of approach? Could you repeat what is WT and W? Okay. So what I told you, that WT means how much change I am going to do at the time t. Because when I'm going to update this weight, the formula is this, that weight updation formula, my weight updation formula is this, that at the time t, what is my weight is previous weight plus WT. So WT is the quantity that I'm going to add to the data. Okay. I'm going to add to the data, and adding subtracting, forget about this, because what happens that they would take care of the signs and everything. So optimized value, let's assume the optimized value is here, and you sometime you are WT plus 1 means WT plus T minus 1, you are at this particular place, you are adding something, you are going to reach this to this particular place, that is the WT. This place is WT at the time T. Ultimately you want to reach the W asterisk, that is the right parameter. Make sense? Any questions? So what I am telling that when you are at this particular location, how much change you have did, how much change you have applied, this much change. When you are at this particular place, how much change is needed? Let's assume this much. So how much change you should do? This is this quantity. Okay, this is this quantity. That how much change you should do. It depends upon the derivative only. You find out the derivative, apply with the value of alpha, and you get that how much you should change at this particular location. So this is fine, everybody, because we know that this is how we update the parameter. But I'm telling use a previous value also. This value, how much you have updated earlier, with a by multiplying another factor. Okay, so you are going to multiply with the gamma and you are using the previous value. I have told you that why it is going to be most probably going to be useful, because you know that when earlier values have more steep curve, so they are more tends to take you towards the direction where your error is going to reduce much, and this is your objective. Everybody is okay with that? Yeah, I need at least 4-5 yes. Any questions? Either you ask the question or write, it is fine, then we can go ahead. Yes sir, no, yes, okay, good. All right, so let me tell you that a special kind of problem that is going to happen with this kind of approach. However, till now what we have discussed, once again what we have discussed, that if this is the curve and we are here, we are going to move into this particular direction. Okay, and how much I should move, it is not only dependent upon the current value but previous value also. The issue is this, that how much I should move is only need to be only dependent upon what is the value over here. If I'm going to use a previous one, sometime it may be possible that the previous value is actually going to push me beyond the place. Because let's assume that you are very near to your solution. When you are very near to your solution, what would happen? Next very small step is needed to reach to the W star. When you are very near to the solution, very small step is needed to reach to the W star. But what would happen that if you are using the previous value also, it is telling that take this much step. So the summation of both becomes this. So you are actually going to reach to the, you are going to cross to this particular optimal point. So what would happen next, that from here you would compute, you would come back here and here and here, you are going to oscillate. This is the problem, that when you are using the previous thing, then it could overshoot. The issue is that you may overshoot the local minima, and then it could become a problem. Okay, so Nastro has given another very important very simple kind of approach, and this approach is actually found to be very better, very good. Means Nestro's accelerated gradient approach is superior to the momentum, and we have find out this approach is very superior. And what is that approach? He told that don't see that what you have to update at this particular point. Okay, for example, if you want to find out that how much you should update, you instead of using this point, you see that how much you should update at this particular point, next point, and use that quantity gradient at that particular point, quantity point, to update yourself. My god, how can we find out that what is the next point? So that is not very difficult, because you know that now what is the current value, you know that how much, what is the current value. So let's assume that currently the value is Wt minus 1, and you want to find out what is the Wt. What is the weight at the time t minus 1, you know. You want to, by updating, you want to get the weight at the time t. Okay, this is your objective. Right now you have Wt minus 1. You want to find out the W2 by doing some kind of updates. And you know that what is my speed, because from here you are, every time you are going to change something, you know that what is the speed. So right now, what is my speed? Let's assume that v t minus 1, your velocity is t minus 1. This velocity represents somehow that how much change you have done to the previous weights. So you know that how much you have changed. You multiply with the gamma and subtract with this quantity. Why I'm going to subtract this quantity? Because what would happen that when the things when the things overshoot, then positive becomes negative. Okay, so here you negative become positive and positive becomes negative. Okay, so both the things are possible. Here you see that here the gradient is negative, but here the gradient is positive. So when you are going to overshoot, at that time you are actually coming back. After this you would come back. Now what would happen, that you are going down down down, but if you overshoot, then the system would say that you come back, because the gradient would be such that. So you are going to find out a future value of the W. At this particular place you see that what is my gradient, and then using the same kind of mechanism that we were using earlier, that gamma time the current means, not momentum kind of thing is also there, but I am going to use the gradient at the future point, and this is going to give you that how much you should improve. And now you are going to update this with your new velocity value, that how much you should update once again. So what is the importance of this thing, that in the case if you are here, so you, whether you are updating with this value or this value, it is not going to have much problem, much issue. But when you are reaching to the near to the your actually, when you are reaching to your optimal value, at that time if you consider that what is the value over here, then it would definitely push you at this particular place, and because of this summation of previous term etc, you would be going to move forward only, and with a very small things, because it is going to push you something. So you cannot overshoot now, this time you cannot overshoot. So you would be reaching small taking small steps and reaching to the optimal value. Make sense? Any questions over there? Once again, let me give the idea. The idea is this, that whenever you want to find out how much you should update, you see there what is the next point, and on that point you find out that what is the gradient. So what would happen, that if you are here, it is fine that you would be finding out the things to go ahead. But if when you are here very near to your solution and you are going to overshoot, at that time you would find out a negative value, and therefore you would be here into this particular area, and you would be reaching to the right solution. Great. Again, this is a paper, please, you may if you have time you can read it. Interesting. Now sir, how do we define delta delta W future? So this you need not to define actually. What happens now, this, because you know that there is some function that is defined over delta, that is defined over W. There is a function that is defined with respect to the W's, and this function is nothing more than this, that what is your neural network. Neural network is also a function. So you are, whenever you are going to provide a function, you want to see that what is the derivative of this particular function when you are actually having this particular value. So derivative, you know that we have seen that this is you have done a partial derivation of the function, and the previous classes also we have seen that. So we will not go into that particular detail. So this particular thing is fine. W future is means that you are actually changing the parameter, and how you got the parameter, you are going to get the parameter by this particular formula. Make sense? Very good, very good, excellent. So so it is a very good idea, but people start thinking in other words also, because what they think that what is going to happen, that W is not, because we are every time we are talking about the W, and we draw this kind of graph, and we say that let's assume that there is a W and we are going to reduce the value, I'm going to reach to the optimal value. But actual data does not have a single W, they have multiple W's. Okay, they have multiple W's. It is a very high dimensional data most of the time, and if the data is very high dimensional, so definitely what would happen, that all the direction would not have the same kind of slope. Some direction would have the higher slope, some direction would have the lower slope. If you are using using a update parameter that is fixed, is it a good idea? Is it a good idea to have the update parameters same for all the things? Yes or no? No, because you know that somewhere the steep would be high, somewhere the steep would be low. So if there is a high steep, why should not we change this parameter? Okay. So next idea is ADA grade. It says that I am going to modify the learning rate. A very simple formula. I mean, we need not to go much into the detail. This is a very simple formula that I am going to use a learning formula as a this. Okay. So it says that initially I am going to put a value of alpha or eta, whatever parameter, and whenever you want to find out that how much I should change, so the previous value plus what is the gradient at this particular place, and this is the value that is going to tell that what should be the learning rate. Okay. So let me see that what is the learning parameter. Don't see anything else. Just see this particular formula. Are you okay with this particular formula? I wanted to find out that what is the weight at the time t. See that what was the weight at time t minus 1. See that what is the gradient, and then you multiply with some number. I'm going to give you detail very soon. This part is clear. Very simple. That if you want to update, and our understanding was this, that I'm going to use this particular function in such a way so that this value should decrease, okay, with the time, and this would be dependent upon that how much gradient in your direction is there. Okay, how much gradient is in your direction means in that particular weight's direction is there. So this says that actually what is this particular quantity. Let me just try to go inside and show you that what is inside it. So there is a constant. There is a constant theta. It would definitely be needed because you initially set a value, but the below things are not constant. No, no, there is also one constant. This constant is epsilon. Epsilon is a small constant. What happens now whenever you are actually dividing with something, there is a risk that sometime this value may become zero. If the value becomes zero, then you are stuck because the value becomes infinite. So small parameter you put, very small number, some network parameter, small value you are going to put so that this value does not becomes uh, infinite. And now let us try to understand this particular quantity. There is something Vt over here. If I increase the value of Vt, what would happen? The overall this quantity is going to reduce. That's it. Simple formula. Because you know that you are dividing something and something is there inside the denominator. What would happen? That this complete quantity, this full quantity is going to be reduced. If you are going to increase the value of Vt, what is the Vt? Vt is the previous value of Vt plus the summation of what is the weight, what is the how much you have changed at that particular time. Oh, look, we have changed the formula. Vt is something different in this particular scenario. Here I am telling that when you are going to do the weight updation, at that time how much you have changed. So at this time you have changed this time the weight w was this, delta 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 w was this. So you are finding out the summation of all these terms, and this is going to give you another number that tells that what is Vt, and you are using this Vt to divide this particular square root of this quantity so that it becomes linear, that how much you have updated till now. Can you tell me that if there is a dimension which has a higher steep, definitely it would have higher value of this particular quantity, higher steep, higher gradient. What do you mean by higher steep? Higher gradient. So it would have the higher gradient. If something has a higher gradient, then this value is going to increase much, and it means that its learning rate is going to be reduced much. So now different all the weights means whatever all the networks in every network unit there is weight. Every network unit there is weight. So all those weights are going to be dependent upon what? That how much gradient is there. Every weight have now a different learning rate. So this is a better way. Let me read this line, that the paper presents a new family of the subgradient methods that dynamically incorporate knowledge of the geometry of the data observed into the linear iterations to perform more informative gradient based learning. So it is using geometry because you know that gradient is related to the geometry, and you see that if there is a huge gradient or less gradient, based on that you are going to change the learning rate, and this is a better method. How many of you agree that this is a better method? Nobody is agreeing. Can you type yes or no? Agree? So this is a better method. The grade is a better method. Okay. Okay. All right. Uh, However, again, there is a because we are the people who always find problem into the solutions. So we would always find out a problem, and the problem is this problem. Where can I found a problem? Can you help me? Because I am someone who want to find out the problem. Where can I find out the problem? Can the problem be here? No, because this is the general formula. What is the problem here? Problem could be with respect to this quantity. Problem could be here only because this is how I am going to update. What is suggested is something here. So I can I find out some problem over here? So what is the problem? Problem is this, that this value has been added. Every time you are adding something, what is going to happen? VT is going to increase. I think it would not increase like this. The function would be this. Because after some time, the weight increase would be smaller. Na? Sir, how to decide which method should we use for training our model? अभी आएगा. Wait करो. है ना? है ना? So we are evolving right now. So till 2011, we are now till 2011 only. More methods are going to come. So let us find out some problem. What is the problem over here? The problem is this, that you are adding something, and because of this value becomes very large. And is it needed to understand this way to utilize this particular quantity? And these were the weights long back. My system has proceeded and it has reached to somewhere else. And now still you are using this particular quantity. Why don't you use only this particular value? Are you able to understand? Because let's assume that this is the scenario. Initially you started by this and now you have reached to this particular point. Still the nearby things may be useful, but very long what has been happened, everything you are putting into the summation, this may not be a good idea. Yes? Yes or no? This may not be a good idea. Okay, we are taking too much time. Okay, so next method is actually RMS prop that tells that why don't you use the discounted value. For example, if there is some value W1 and delta W1, delta W2. So let me tell you that what I mean by this. Actually, let's assume that you are going to put this particular quantity. Okay, what I'm going to tell that this particular quantity, this VT is equal to, let me put VT is T0 at the starting. Let me put this value as a 0. So the first value would be what? The first value would be delta W1 square. Okay. Next value W2 is equal what I'm writing here, V2. Let me write it V1. Okay. Hey, am I right? V1 is equal to delta W1. What is delta W2? I'm going to say that why don't you multiply with something? You say that V1 multiplied by something, say alpha. Instead of alpha, I'm saying that let's say the 0.9 plus delta W2 square. V2 is equal to this complete quantity multiplied by again 0.9. So it means in the complete thing becomes 0.9 square delta W1 square plus 0.9. It is multiplied by with this particular quantity delta W2 plus delta W3. So I'm not writing well. Okay, help me to write it. I want to find out what is the value of V1, what is value of V2, what is value of V3, what is value of V4, dot dot dot. I want to write like this. Let's assume that V0 is equal to 0. Okay, V1 is equal to V1. I'm going to write Vi is equal to Vi plus 0.9 times Vi minus 1. Can you use this particular formula? Once again I have written the wrong thing. What is happening? Vi is equal to 0.9 times Vi minus 1 plus Wi, whatever derivative of Wi that I have. This formula, are you okay? That what was the previous value? What was the previous value? I'm going to multiply with 0.9 and the current Wi. So the V1 would be, because 0.9 is multiplied with the 0, it becomes 0. So it would be delta of W1 square. W2 would be delta of W2 square, that is need to be added, and you multiply 0.9 into this quantity, okay, plus this. W3 is summation of W3 square plus all these things is multiplied by 0.9. So what you get at this particular place, can you help me? So 0.9 would be multiplied to this quantity, 0.9 delta W2 square plus 0.9 square delta W1 square, like that. What would come here into the next? Delta W4 is added, means you are going to add delta W4 and you are multiplying complete thing with the 0.9. 0.9 is multiplied over here, 0.9 to the power cube delta W1 square plus 0.9 to the power square delta W2. So I'm very bad into the writing. Okay. Are you able to understand this? What I wanted to tell? I wanted to tell that this particular formula, this particular point 0.9 has been multiplied. So let me put into this particular way. Let's assume that whatever you are updation you are going to do, so you got W1, W2, delta W3, dot delta WK whenever at the state of the K. So you are going to this value completely, but 0.9 multiplied by the previous one, 0.9 to the power k here, 0.9 to the power k plus 1 here, 0.9 to the power k plus 2 here. So very long values to be multiplied. 0.9 to the power k plus 1 becomes 0. So the effect of these things becomes very less. This has been obtained by using this particular method that tells that I am going to multiply with 1 minus beta and beta times. So how much significant I have to give this particular current quantity? So here only forget about this. This is a V1 only. Okay, just think that this is V. Okay, just notation, they are using different notation, that's why I'm also putting over here. So this is the at the time of t. If you want to find out, see what is at the time t minus 1, multiply with the beta. What is the beta? I'm talking about 0.9, and similarly this value is 0.1. So whatever the current gradient you are going to have, you are going to multiply with something, but this quantity is going to be multiplied with 0.9. And because this point contains previous thing and that contains previous thing, so the very old things are going to have very less effect. Are you able to understand this? Very old things are going to have very less effect, and this is another very interesting approach. And then again, the formula is weight update formula is going to be the same, that what is the gradient, and you multiply with this particular quantity. This particular quantity has a eta divided by under root of right now whatever value we have. Epsilon you may assume without loss of generality over here. So again, what is the advantage of this particular thing? That when I was dividing this with the quantity, everything is not being added. However, everything is there, but effect of the recent thing are going to be large. Are you able to see that? Effect of the recent thing are going to be large. This is called the MS prop. This algorithm is called the MS prop algorithm. Very interesting and very influential algorithm. So using MS prop is actually right thing to go ahead. But sometimes people think that the same thing that we have done, we have multiple weights were there, and we were telling that the importance of the weight which are actually near here, they are large, and the things which are actually far, their importance is actually lesser. So ultimately what is going to happen, only these things are going to have the effect. So there is also one line of thought that tells that why don't you use this particular window only, summation far, why don't you use this particular window? Another line of thought. Make sense? Because what we have did by this, that we have actually removed this particular part, because their multiplication, because multiple number of time beta multiplication make them very small. Then why don't you use the window? If you use the window, it is called the Ada delta. The method is called Ada delta. Same kind of formulation, everything is same. You can see that here the number of times it is telling that you are not going to see to everything to the very old, you are going to see up to t time only. So it is going to use the window. Here the summation is going to be window of this square term only, with the beta 1 minus beta time terms, square terms. 2012 paper, very interesting paper, very. And however, this paper and this paper both came in 2012. They were independent work, they came, and since you can see that they have the same kind of merits, So people don't use this kind of method much, and they use MSProp more. All right. Next and final method that we have is called the Adam optimizer. Okay, Adam says that okay, you have find out something MSProp. I'm okay with that. So why not we use uh, momentum also? So I'm going to use both the things, and it is going to Adam is going to combine MS prop and momentum both. Okay, how? The formula is this, that it is going to find out something called, for example, because momentum and MS prop are two different things. So what is the speed at this particular time? We are going to represent that. So what is the speed of momentum? I'm going to write it m at the time I. So again, you know that the formula that beta, there is some beta 1 minus beta term, and you see that what is the gradient, and what was the previous value. This is not a different thing. You know that this is the how the formula is there for the movement. Okay, and what is MS prop? You find out the value. How? Here only thing is in MS prop, this value was going to be square term. So this way you are going to find out M and V. Then using this M and V, you actually do something they call it correction. They call it correction. They say that you, after getting the MI, I am going to get the MI estimate, and that is simply MI divided by 1 minus beta to the power t. Because if you go very long, the things become 0. So it says that I'm going to apply this kind of mechanism to find out VI. So estimate for both the things. Once again, you decided that what is the value of MI and VI. Then you have actually updated this value divided by MI divided by 1 minus beta to the power t, beta 2 to the power t. So beta 1 to the power t and beta 2 to the power t. And now you know that how to update. So because these values contain the what is the gradient over there, so you need not to again write the what is the gradient over here. So earlier weight, new weight is equal to earlier weight minus eta time what, mi divided by 1 upon under root of vi estimate plus epsilon. So this is the formula. So both the things, both the advantages of MS prop and momentum are actually going to be obtained over here. I think this is this is a relatively recent paper, 2014, and most of the time you know that whenever you go, you apply this Adam optimizer. So that's all for today. Thank you very much for joining.